I'm Dana Perino. Join me for my brand new podcast, Perino on Politics. As we analyze the 2024 election cycle, make sure you subscribe to this series on foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts, and leave me a rating and review.
This episode is brought to you by Undeniably Dairy. Dairy farmers are more than farmers. They're climate caretakers. They see water as a precious resource. Most farmers recycle water up to 4 times, from chilling the milk to irrigating the crops. And some even use technology to turn manure into renewable energy. To learn more about what dairy farmers are doing to make their farms more sustainable, visit usdairy.com.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 178 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, drummer and songwriter Mike Mangini, I want to remind you about everything you can find online at mistresscarrie.com, including every episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, every episode of my video show, Cocktails in the War Room, and the concert and event calendar that keeps you up to date with all of the concerts and appearances that are happening in New England. You can also check out my photo gallery, my blog, get access to all the links from my socials, and you can shop in the online Mistress Carrie store. Find all that and more at mistresscarrie.com. Mike Mangini is a world-renowned drummer who was a member of Extreme and more recently Dream Theater. He's also a distinguished Berklee College of Music professor, and he's getting ready to unveil his highly anticipated solo project, Mangini. The solo album called Invisible Signs is getting ready to come out, so I checked in with Mike after the announcement about the split from Dream Theater and the recording of his upcoming solo album. We talked about theories behind his drum playing, overcoming stage fright, how anyone can learn how to play the drums, his songwriting, and so much more. And I even got him to climb behind the kit to show me how it's done. Mike made his first appearance on episode 35 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, and I am so excited to have him back. So allow me to reintroduce you to Mike Mangini. Mike Mangini.
Hello, Carrie. How are you today?
I am so good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's great to see you again.
It's good to see you too. Thank you for coming back on the show. The last time you were on, we were all kind of locked in our basements. Now the world is opened back up again. So it's nice to be able to see you. And obviously, thank you for coming back on the show.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
With all of the different episodes and stuff, it's been like over 200 episodes, which is kind of insane.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. And I'm not surprised, and I'm sure you'll be at 1,178 before you know it.
So right off the bat, anything happen in the last week? Anything at all?
Yeah. So, you know what's interesting about the Dream Theater situation is today, I feel like I have homework to do. You know, if you understand how my mind works, and I know that you might not want
Look,
to
I
know.
have tried to understand how your mind works. It's not an easy task.
Not for anybody, but here's the thing. I found this incredible state of mind, which I use on stage. I've used this without really realizing how powerful it was and everything, but I live life in 3-second increments on stage. And here's what I mean by that. You know, with most of what I do, there's so much that happens in those 3 seconds with notes and management of all the information coming to me, and especially the information inside of my mind. You know, your mind has an imagination. So anyway, by my living life in 3-second increments, here's the beauty of it. I don't think about something that I played that was either a mistake or something that was, I noticed was, that was extra good tonight or something. The reason is because it doesn't do the current moment any good as far as a double loss. Like, in other words, so let's say it was a mistake, and it doesn't matter. There's all kinds of things. Like, it might be me, it might not be, it might be equipment, it might not be, who knows? But if I think about that, it takes me away from the intensity of the moment, and then it becomes a double loss. And I also don't think about the future too much, because there are things that I don't know, things out of my control, and things that could change for the worse or better, depending on how I am in these 3 seconds. So when I say, yeah, there's goings on this week, and with the situation, it's like, I just feel like I have homework to do. I don't have a better way to just say what I really think and feel, because it's there, and now this is happening, and I think everybody's in the place they need to be. As an example, you know, I took a look at what I have in front of me to do, and this Mike Mangini media thing that I put together, trademark, logo, you know, the whole bit. But it's such an interesting collection of educational materials and just entertainment things, videos or music. But there's so much to do, and it's really what I'm thinking about. You know, it's like the situation made sense to me when I heard it, in that I don't know, I guess I just skipped out and thought, oh, that's an original band member going back to a band. Oh, I get that. Okay, I get it. And that's it. I mean, that is literally it. Everything. That's what's here. And so immediately I'm like, okay, I'm in this moment, this 3-second moment, like, what's happening? Okay, I have to do this. If does that make any sense? Otherwise, yeah. I can't play. I can't.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to catch everybody up that might be listening, that might not be aware of what we're talking about. The band you've been with for the last 13 years, Dream Theater, their founding drummer, Mike Portnoy, had left the band, and you joined the band 13 years ago and had an extremely successful career with the band, toured the world, won a Grammy, released multiple successful albums. And we're actually having this conversation the day after it was announced that Mike Portnoy is coming back to the band.
A decision was made that I understood. That's all it is. I mean, that's because when I heard the decision, I understood it. And I tried to explain that I understood the parameters of that being a music thing.
Right.
You know, the band's original. Anyway, it's as simple as that. And I'm telling you, it was like, okay, I get that. Oh my gosh, look at my task list.
Yeah.
I was with the band for 13 years. It was unbelievable experience. And that whole 3-second thing I talked about, it's so simple, but without it, I would have not been able to manage things on stage, off, any of it, because getting into that moment was so vital and important that it could have been corrupted. You know, I have a history of stage fright and nervousness, which that's what got me into cognitive science. That's what my Rhythm Knowledge Volume 1 book is all about. Is I just felt so helpless I felt so helpless on stage. Remember when I was with Rick Berlin, that band?
Yeah.
I used to get sick before the shows. I remember early on meeting Nuno. He showed up and was really so supportive of me when I was with a Van Halen tribute band, and I was with him, only with him, a moment before the show, and I was just getting sick out of every possible area. Like, he's like, what is with you? I'm like, I don't know. I have to do this job right. I have to. It's so, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what kind of items my head hit as a child. Like my brother and sister told me that I rolled off the kitchen table, that I fell downstairs. So that ought to explain. It ought to explain plenty of things. That I was
well, the idea that you're a performer with stage fright, you're not the only one that's come out and talked about this. But I think for fans that have been in the crowd of thousands of people watching you play, they would be taken aback by the fact that you, being the confident performer and drummer that you are, would have any reservations about getting out on the stage. And the idea that you could be nervous and have stage fright is kind of unreal because of what you do.
Well, the thing is, I found a solution. That's the beauty of my passion,
right?
Or the beauty of the beauty of the solution is that there's help where there might not have been help before. I mean, you got to understand, drum books are about play a left here. This is called a radamadiddly-do and a parafanafla-fla thing. There's names to all these moves, and the books are full of, okay, hit this and then hit that. Great job. Let's move on to the next thing. Learn to hit something else in an order. But I have always stood back questioning things, going, no. Why? Like, how does it work? Why does this do anything for me? It's like a kid being in school, and I got him saying, what am I ever going to use this math stuff for? And you go, well, so the thing about it is I wrote books to help people. It's the same thing with the album, and which we can get to.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a self-help thing. It's just that it for those that want to search, there's information buried in there that you got to use your will. If someone doesn't use their will, there's a thing called the hippocampus. I sound smart, wicked smart, but I'm not. I just know there's a hippocampus. It's a gate to long-term memory in the brain. You like my move?
Yeah, it looked like a window washer of your arm.
It's a gate, and a gate opens up only when things are meaningful or traumatic, and then stuff goes into the long-term memory. With my layman's view, do not base anything.
Mike Mangini is not a doctor. However,
I'm not a doctor. So the thing is, the stage fright was from the will to be as great as I could be, and the absolute personal feeling that I am not that. I am not that all that or whatever, because my vision of anything is always structural and a grid. So in other words, I see what I can't do as much as what I can do. And what I cannot do is a magnet. It's pulling me. So my focus is like, okay, I'm going here. That's why I said I'm living in these 3-second moments, because I know where I got to go, and I know what has to be done right now. And it's been a wonderful protocol. The solution to stage fright is wonderful. There are ways to talk yourself out of it and out of nervous moments. It's behavioral change. That's why I'm working, and I've done some tests for a cognitive scientist and his team at Cambridge University in England. So so much information there, isn't it? Sorry. Sorry, but that's the whole thing.
Well, you've got a lot going on, right? Because you've always had a lot of different projects. Anybody that knows you as long as I have knows that you have this unbelievable, constantly being fueled fountain of energy, that you are constantly in motion and constantly working on a lot of things. And now you are tackling a lot of these things that you had always wanted to do, but maybe didn't have the time or the resources or whatever to be able to do. And this is a very exciting time for you because there's a lot of Mike Mangini happening all around you with all of these new projects.
And unfinished ones. That's the real thing calling me, because I need to complete them. And I can't stress that idea of completing things in steps and then in total. I can't stress it enough because I see it structurally. I used to gravitate, or I still do gravitate toward anybody that I'm working with in any capacity that has a managerial mind, because I've always noticed that a managerial mind has some kind of shape and structure to the information. This is very Plato. And again, don't I won't quote me too much here, but I know that he's famous for saying everything has shape and form. Like, oh yeah, music has shape and form. There's a form to the music. A, B, A, C, A, B, C, D, whatever. And there's a shape and a form to information and structure. So that's how my mind works.
I feel like the inside of your mind looks like a CAD drawing. Like everything is like Tetris blocks that you're trying to put together. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. There's definitely there's lots of blocks, and there are drop down menus.
Of course there are. Yeah.
Those get in the way because I start to see all the options. I used to have that jumping behind a kit and playing, where I just flooded with ideas, and the only way I was ever able to find a solution to how to deal with them was through structure and shape and form. And I made something called The Grid, released a DVD. It finished #1 in a couple of drum magazines, 2 years. Usually they're for 1 year. I don't even know why it's spread out to 2. I don't know how that works, or if it maybe it was a mistake. I don't know, but a couple of years in a row. So that's the thing, is that the blocks are in there, the drop down menus, and it's overwhelming.
For people
really
like you and I that are very logistic minded, that are planners, that are people that charge towards a horizon. I know what it's like to have an intense change in my professional life happen very quickly. And I want to give you an opportunity before we talk about your new album and all of the other things you have going on. One of the things that helped me through that was friends reaching out, including you, that reached out to tell me things are going to be amazing. You've got so much great stuff that you're working on. I'm here if you need me, because change in any form is weird. And the other thing is, I want to give you a chance to just talk about what the fans and their support mean to you, because there is so much love coming your way. I know what it was like when WAF went off the air 3.5 years ago, that it was this overwhelming wall of love that was like, whoa. And so over the last 24 hours, since all the press releases went out, I've just been watching you be wrapped in this giant, heavy metal blanket of love by the fans. That's got to be amazing for you and overwhelming.
It's interesting that you use the word amazing, because I prefer addressing things with speech rather than typing and writing, which is not my strong point, unless I'm using my imagination and making things up or something. But I used that word to describe the day as amazing, amazing, period. But what I meant was exactly what you're talking about. What was amazing about it wasn't the event itself, but the reaction to the event, meaning that outpouring of support and love that I got is I'm still trying to process it. And I don't know how to. I was stunned.
I bring
really
it up
was
because I
stunned.
know
I was
exactly
like,
how you feel. That
yeah,
that you find out exactly how loved you are, and it's overwhelming to the point where you're like, is Ashton Kutcher going to come out in a trucker hat? Am I being punked right now? Is this real?
Right. Yeah, that's an amazing thing. There's so much good going on. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And as I'm in the 3-second, little intervals, it's a nice injection. It's a nice feeling, and that's really all I perceive about all of it. Because there's just so much good. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed it out, and that gave me an opportunity, especially because you used the same word, and it was just wonderful. So now that it's known what I actually meant.
Yeah.
I meant that outpouring was amazing. That this is just an occurrence that happened. My view of it was okay. So I got to get my homework done right now. It just isn't anything more.
Yeah. Well, I know what I did when my career changed, and I always had this like list of things, goals, achievements, just a to-do list, a bucket list professionally, if you will, of like dreams and wishes and things that I would love to be able to focus on if I ever had the time. And then I was presented the opportunity of the time and the ability to build my world based on what I wanted it to be and some of the things that I wanted to achieve outside of the radio station that I worked for or the company that paid me or any of that stuff. And so when you look at the list of things you've already accomplished in your life, being on the forefront of your instrument, being one of the names that gets talked about in the GOAT status, the Mount Rushmore of drummers, and I'm not trying to inflate your ego, but it's a fact. When people have a conversation about amazing drummers, Mike Mangini comes up in that. So check that off the Mangini list. Touring the world, check that off the Mangini list. Being part of multiple successful bands, check that off the Mangini list. Winning a Grammy, check that off the Mangini list. You're at this point now where you're releasing music that's not just you behind the kit, that it's you formulating full songs, songwriting, lyrics. What else? What's this list now that you haven't achieved yet? Because I know you and the list exists.
Oh, the list exists. You can't believe this, but there's construction happening in the main room in my facility, and I have a cork board, and the cork board, of course, is modules, categories, grids, lists, and lists. It actually has a list that says 2020 on it, and everything is crossed off. It has a list that says 2021. Everything is crossed off. It has a list that says 2022. Almost everything is crossed off. One of them or two of them are floated over to this year, being the album. So here's the thing. You said two things that are so vital and important. One of them was the word time. And the other one was, what are you doing? The dreams, the list, what's on the list? So the thing about time that's important is it's very valuable. Like, what are we going to do with the time that we have when we're fortunate enough to be able to make choices? Like, we can't always make the choices that, quote, we want all the time, right? We have to deal with external things in our environment, the ones we live in close proximity, and the ones we live in the country, in our world, in our state, and all those things. It expands out. So, what is it we're afforded the luxury of doing, or what freedom do we have, and how are we going to spend that time? So then you say, I go, well, what's important? What's necessary? So these are the things that are necessary. Okay, after what's necessary, what are the options? So when we get down to the options, where what's necessary and the options cross are, I need to finish things by putting together this triple M LLC thing,
Yeah, you're a company now. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I started mine. You become official.
Yeah. It's interesting because the feeling of it and also the look of it, the structure of it is comforting for decision making. In other words, if I'm going to make decisions where to put my time, I again have to go in and I got to see it all. And I'm seeing a lot right now. And so I have to get in there. And for example, with the album, it's made to be played loudly.
As all good music should be.
I mean, do you not smile when you put Panama by Van Halen on and put your windows down?
How can you not?
You drive into the Cape or something, or Nui, and you're like, right? Okay, so it's made to do that. It's made to resonate in two ways that are easily transmittable and receivable, meaning the simplicity of the beats and the grooves with the initial simplicity of the words that are used, that are common. Both things are intentionally common. I really am trying to share what it is I'm doing back here because of what's behind it with as many people as possible I would normally not reach. That is why it's not a progressive album. That is why it's not a drummer guy album thing. I have those partial ideas. I have that music. I have those lyrics. I have those lyric seeds. I mean, it's just, they wouldn't fit into the sound of this.
You wanted to make a rock album.
I wanted to make a rock album, and that's what I wanted to do. And for those that want more, it's in there. It's in there. You start listening on headphones to how the drums are fitting into the music, and it's just different. It is absolutely unique because of the setup of the drums, which happened on purpose. I couldn't even play this thing. I could not play it.
You keep pointing for anybody that can't see what we're talking about. This giant construction scaffolding of your insane drum set.
Yeah, like if you look at from the top, you can see the structure is an apex shape, meaning it goes from the pitches go from high to low from the middle out. That means that each drum can be striked one hit at a time following music. And I constructed this before I joined Extreme. And what I wanted to do was kind of pick up some of the transition lines specifically. Instead of just like going boom, I wanted to just put tone to it. And at the end of the day, it's boom. At the end of the day, if I wasn't an orchestral trained musician, I actually would have my drum kit would be quite small as far as the amount of things. There'd be a little tom-tom, a middle tom-tom, and a nice big one, just to match the sound of what was happening. That would be it. And there wouldn't be necessarily multiple ride sources. Like, they're called hi-hats for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah, you're showing me angles of cameras that you've got set up in your drum set. And it's unbelievable, first of all, how symmetrical and organized and perfectly spaced everything is, which does not surprise me for you. Right. But your kit, like any other drummer's kit, is specifically tailored to exactly the way you play, so you don't even have to see anything. You know exactly. I bet you could put that drum set together with your eyes closed because you know by feel exactly where everything should be.
Right, but I'd rather be stung by 49 hornets than either take this down or put it together. And the thing is, I'm adaptable with the drum set. It's just an important thing to know. What I mean by that is certain jobs breed certain drum sets. In other words, this is kind of ground zero for me.
Right.
I can go anywhere from here. I can play a small kit completely lefty, absolutely jump to the stage 100% and play it in a standard kit in the opposite direction. That took me suffering. That was I mean, because I had to go through not only physical changes but changes of the spirit,
because you're a right-handed person.
Yeah. It's like I had to face, the mirror going, you can't play this at all. You can't play this. Zero. And I was like, okay, it's okay. It's like I'm to get discussion with myself. Like, I got it. I'm going to figure this out. Anyway.
Well, you can play the most complex Dream Theater drum part, but also as a drummer for Extreme, you played Wholehearted, which is the simplest drum part in a song that can be for a drummer, and be happy playing it and able to do it because it's what you love.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the truth. You have to love something and whatever. So my love of hitting things, including buckets, really is just a matter of what is for the music, because I'm not going to use this setup for who knows whatever comes down the pipe for me, whatever happens. My setup is adjusted. I have changed some things in my setup in the last 13 years. I mean, the symmetrical thing has stayed as a constant, but not on the last tour. On the last tour, my drum set was a regular drum set. I needed a couple of things to hit to orchestrate the music, but it was a standard setup. And I was immediately like, okay, again, I'm in that present moment where had I thought, well, that's not me. That's not my full expression and my this and me that and I this and whatever. It's like, it's like going back and causing two losses. I mean, it's not going to do anything about what I ever did, meaning changing to a kit, right? It's not going to change anything in the past. All it's going to do is corrupt the moment where I have to put it together and go, right, what's going on here? Like, what is this? Look, if I jump in, let's just say there's some drum event, all right? And I am going to jam with a couple other drummers, or, I've been put in a couple of times having to play Latin music at these things. So it's like, okay, I won't bring a setup. I sit down. There's a cowbell with my left foot. There's the cowbell over here. The skill that I earned to play this makes it easy for me to be adaptable. So now, there's no stage fright thing. And if there is, it's only because I want to do a good job and it affects me. And it's like, well, that's normal. All that's normal. It's letting it corrupt the moment that's an issue. And again, I came up with a solution so that the moment is not corrupted. I could teach it. I do teach it. It's easy to understand and whatever.
It's akin to like a tradesman of any kind having an unbelievable workshop with every tool in the place, but they go out to do a job and they only take what they need.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you're nailing stuff today without, there's no way you could know how perfect what you just said was, because soon I will have a plug-in product by a company called MixWave that turns people's actual drum sets into a virtual instrument. This is happening. So just think about this for me for a minute. I don't have to worry anymore about wherever I am traveling or wherever I am where I cannot play this anymore to compose, because this virtual instrument is this drum kit and is easily able to be used to compose with like my actual sounds and all of this plus more. Plus it's like, even here, I have an array of, let's say, snare drums, which for anyone that needs to know, that would be the drum in the very middle.
Yeah, that's the drum you hear with the marching band drums, the snap drum. Well, can you go behind your kit?
Yeah, sure.
Because if we're going to talk about specific drums, you might as well.
All right. Yeah.
For people that are only listening, go behind the kit. You're more comfortable back there anyway. It's probably the place you're the most relaxed. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
Where the world makes the most sense?
Yeah, there's this truth. There is truth to that. The answer to your question is yes. So
Ryan Smith from Shure Microphones. I could sure use a wireless setup. Yeah, the wires are good. So let me play. Here I am at the drums.
Yeah, so obviously you're behind your drum set now. So we're talking about like a snare drum, which is probably the first drum you get as a drummer, right? I mean, that's the drum that we're the most familiar with, I would think.
Yeah. And I have two.
I'm such a huge fan of marching band music because I was in the marching band as a kid that there's just something about a snappy snare drum sound that makes me happy.
Yeah, I want to make you happy. Now, that's a time change beat. It's not on my record. Yeah, nice and snappy. That's fun, real cool.
Yeah, so you were talking about taking the drum set to whatever the job requires, and that it always kind of starts with the snare and then taking whatever is necessary for whatever job or whatever music you're working on.
I might take, the snare drum, a bass drum with a double pedal so either foot can hit it, because as you can see here, I have 2 feet. And extra pedals. Whee!
Are you completely ambidextrous behind the drums? Is your right and left foot the exact same speed? Both hands can do the same thing?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. I don't think it's truly possible, only because I found that an additional reason why I practiced lefty playing so much, which would be this side. And, even opening that hi-hat and closing it with the opposite limbs is pretty brutal. So what I found was that when I spent time working on my weak side, my strong side got better. And I dug into that a little bit. And the conclusion I came up with was that by my mind, and literally my brain, trying to communicate with a limb that was like, what? Hello. So by my brain having to go, hey, no, do it this way. It developed signal sending strength, which is in my first book. It develops signal sending strength. So when you put a stronger signal, it's now moving faster and stronger to your good side, which is like, whoa, I got it. You get more speed. Because that's where it comes from. It's amazing. It was an amazing discovery.
You would be in hell in my body where everything on the left side is smaller and weaker than everything on the right side.
Well,
like 2 different size feet, like everything from having a tumor on my spine when I was a kid, like arm lengths different, feet sizes different. It's like having 2 bodies cut in half stuck together.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I know a system that you can study that will help you reconnect it all. You're just going to have to work hard. That's all. I'm going to put you. What about this one over here? So, hi, hello. It's fun to hit stuff.
It is fun to hit stuff.
You know, so hey, speaking of that, with my album, right?
Yeah, so I want to talk to you about the album.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to show you some.
Yeah.
Just of this kit.
Yeah. So when you decided you wanted to write a rock record,
mm-hmm.
I ask songwriters this all the time. Where does the song idea come from? And I get a lot of different answers. I get melody first, I get riff first, I get lyric first. When you're actually writing the songs yourself and working on a song idea from scratch, does it always start from a drum beat for you? Or have you begun crafting songs lyric first, melody first, or is it always starting with the drums?
That I can think, it has never started with the drums.
Ever?
For me. No, not for me, but it has for other people. So when I work with bands, sometimes I'll provide the rhythmic bass, but for me it didn't, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you where it came from. The ideas, the songs, and the ideas for my album, either musically or with the vocal end of it, came from either thinking about the type of music that I like, the kind of vibe, and then going from there. For example, I have mentioned in other articles very consistently, that when I joined Columbia Record House, and I was young and got a zillion and a half albums for a penny, or whatever
yeah.
It was, right? Yeah. And so Led Zeppelin 4 was one of them, and the first song is Black Dog, and I was like, okay, things are about to change for me, because the sound did something. There's that riff, and then the vocal and the riff. So I thought about that in this record. I'm going to come up with a cool riff. So I sat down at a keyboard to come up with what I liked as far as a riff is concerned. And what would happen is I would see the shape of because I know key signatures, so I would see the shape and kind of move a different key signature and make a shape with my fingers and try to come up with something that resembled what a rock riff is. So musically, that's half of the musical thing. The other half of the musical thing is spacious grooves. There's a lot of grooves on this record, that are, at that tempo range, is because I noticed at a rock concert in a stadium, I paid attention to what moved people, and I paid attention to what moved young people like my children when I was doing this, and there was a commonality there, and it was just that the groove and the drum end of it had to move air, and so that's why on this record it didn't come from anything like I'm going to construct this drum beat using all this stuff, and I don't know, I'd have to improvise right now, but whatever. So that wasn't even good. But the thing is, I'm looking at the drum set, I'm trying to come up with something. I'm like, oh, here's a drum move. It's like, all right, now what kind of song do I make from that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or so if you notice there, I kind of, where's my thingy? I kind of routinely I kind of routinely changed righty and lefty, switching my feet from this position to this one. So I'm switching righty and lefty all the time, and I'm doing it routinely as a musician. I'm not doing it, I gotta reach this number 4. I'm not doing it, I don't have to think about anything anymore. So I can construct drum beats like that, and I suppose I can go put music to it, but I'm used to providing that for other people, like waiting for the punchline. Way back with Extreme, I was just rehearsing, I think for the Aerosmith tour, and I sat there and I was like, I have 2 hi-hats. How interesting. Like, what can I do that's unique to 2 hi-hats and stepping them that you can only do on this drum set? It's like, okay, well, so they're opening and closing simultaneously, but at different times. You can't do that with one. You can make the sound with one and make it sound okay. Like, nobody's even going to care. No one's even going to care. You just make it sound right? But I cared about this drum set, so I went. And that became the song Leave Me Alone. Nuno put guitar to it. Gary went and got his I could still see him going to this briefcase, this thin briefcase, and he had his pre-done lyrics, and he kind of just like plucked out a lyric and started singing it, and the song was like 5 minutes time, but not totally, but you know what I mean. It was like bang, 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 done. Okay, there's a song.
It's amazing to me how quickly something like that can materialize. Like Steven Tyler told me in an interview years ago, I asked him what the biggest fight was that he remembered the guys in Aerosmith getting into, and he said one of the biggest ones he remembered was the drum sound at the beginning of Ragdoll. The doom, da, doom, da. And like they got into a fight about it, and he didn't say who won the fight and who was in the right and what ended up being the drum part that we all remember. But it's amazing that just that one thing makes or breaks a song, that can inspire a whole song. Just something so simple all of a sudden opens the floodgates and becomes the songs that we fall in love with.
Yes, that's exactly right. And interestingly enough, the drums really are a way I feed other people to work together. It's a form of composition. But for me, I took a step back and I looked at my target. What's my target? My target was to move people, bodies, and with whatever lyrics, because for example, Freak of Nature is really a combination of things. I mean, I am interested in physics and stuff like that, and forces, and it's like, oh, force of nature. Gee, that doesn't sound very good, you know. And what's a force of nature? And I'm looking at different ones, and there's a hurricane, and I just thought of Grunk. I thought of Rob Gronkowski. It's like, as far as unstoppable force, or as far as opinions don't matter. Like, in other words, we could differ in opinion all day on what a hurricane is, or what athlete is better than the other one, or whatever. But you can't change the nature of them. In other words, look at all the critiques. Everyone suffers, I guess. Everyone suffers critiques, but athletes get critiqued, and this one's better than that one, or this pointing out flaws, whatever it is. But you can't change the actual nature of that thing. And you know, I was thinking of Gronk. I'm like, well, I better not write about the Patriots, because then I'm going to alienate 31 other cities.
Yeah, and don't do it right now, because we're having a little rough time right now.
Yeah, I know.
We'll figure it out.
They'll always figure it out. They always figure it out. They gotta do what they gotta do.
So you get behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
And you start formulating these song ideas. How long ago did you start working on basic ideas for this record? Like, how long have these songs been in construction?
Okay. So although the first, quote, song, as it were, that hit me was Habit to Change. I heard the actual words and the sound and the melody. I woke up to it. I woke up going, Habit to Change. It's got to be a habit to change it, like just like it is on the record. I'm close. Let's say close. Oh no, it's kind of just like it is on the record in essence. Yeah, it is.
So when you wake up to that idea,
yeah,
what do you do? Talk into your phone, type it out. Do you run into the studio? What did you do?
Well, what I did was I immediately got up and said, I'm going to follow through and make a solo record, and it starts today. It's a habit to change. It's no coincidence. So I went up to my studio. I think it was 5:30 in the morning or something. I turned my computer on, and I'm just humming it, thinking about it, and using a keyboard with virtual any sound, just a piano sound. It doesn't matter. I needed to figure out where the range was that I was hearing and what kind of chords worked with it in basic terms. I'm no guru. I am no guru of chords, I'll tell you, but I know what I can match the sound. That's one thing. So yeah, you hear it, you go to the studio and you work it. It has to be nearby, The other thing, which is why when I have this marvelous drum kit inside a computer, I'll be traveling, I'll be in an airport with this thing with me, and I'm like, I can't even believe that's even possible. Anyway, getting back, the first riff that was written is to Freak of Nature, and that came about when Steve Vai told me one day while working with him that I needed to make a solo record, and I didn't quite know what to do, but because I had feelings, and not like, like, don't take that the wrong
feelings.
I just feel, yeah. No, but I didn't know what they meant intellectually. I knew what I felt, but I didn't know what they meant.
And when Steve Vai tells you to write a solo record, you write a solo record.
Yeah. And he's like, here, take my studio. I was like, I don't know what to do. I intuitively felt repelled to make a drum thing, where I'm like playing in 5/16 with this. I actually have music that goes to something like this, which is I didn't release. It's like, which is a grouping of 5, but it's lefty and righty, and then I play in 7. It's like 7 notes in the space of these 5 notes at the same time. I had solos of me doing this, like Luna Park and also a Guitar Center, where I'm actually playing this pattern. I have a song for it, But the thing is, I put these riffs together based on the feeling of a certain kind of music that moved me, and I wasn't sure what it was, other than and I didn't think, Black Dog, so I think I'll just write something like it. It wasn't kind of like that. It's always just been in me because there's a lot of other songs, and there are styles of music. I mean, I like the heavy metal, but not the speed stuff for what I want to do, but like just the heavier metal, the songs you can sing that are popular when I was in high school, things like that. But I knew the vibe, so I sat on a keyboard with a sound and kind of formulated some things, and then I realized, I don't want to get technical, but there is a shape to what I do. It's like, I'm going to use this combination of notes this way. So that's where the music came from, was sitting down and experimenting. The other thing that was the source was I would hear something in my mind and put it into an audio note. So I would like hum out a riff or something that I would hear in my head. So there you go. Both the music and the vocal end come from ideas that I'm hearing in here, and that I vocalize, and then have to bring into reality through this equipment. The riffs were done on a keyboard and experimented with until I just found something I like based on the big groove, but not based on a drum thing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
In other words, it's like songs have been written over many things I played on the drums, from Leave Me Alone to this, which is called Pale Blue Dot. And That's a beat in a certain time signature. I was playing at a sound check. You know, I'll play it in basic form, but. That's a pattern of 19 notes. I won't bother getting into that part of it because for me, it's intuitive now because of the system, because of the training system, which if you want to learn it, Carrie, I've got a great Vimeo for pattern recognition called Not Quite Double. There won't be a single rhythm and style of music that you won't immediately say, I can figure that out right now, and then do this little trick with your hands, and then you go, I know what that is. This brought a lot of joy to people. That was a little tangent, but all I'm trying to say is that this thing that I'm doing is an educational world mixed with entertainment, with music, a video world with, again, these concepts, the books that are really about problem solving for all instrumentalists, and a system that's coaching. It's an hour course with 9 hours of slow count-alongs, play-alongs for those that really want to dig in and practice guitar over what I'm doing with these drums. But skipping back to like what's happening, what am I focusing on in this 3-second increment? You know, it's like I got to get all these modules from my world completed.
So you start working on these song ideas and you start crafting these songs. Do you 100% write them all? Riff, keyboard parts, drums, lyrics, all of that stuff, and have them basically as completed songs, and then go out to find band members to be able to play them? Or did you bring people in to help you finish the songs that are now going to be performing them on the record?
The ones that are on the record as they are on the album are completely written by me and presented as demos. So they're complete demos. They're handed to people. You meet people, this one, that one knows this one, says, hey, I know somebody. Hey, I know someone else. That's really all that it is. And then you get it to them or a piece of it, and they try it, and it works or it doesn't. And then you make a decision on who's going to replace these parts. And then I allow, of course, some autonomy there. I mean, I am not a bassist. I am not a guitarist. And especially with guitar, I don't play that instrument at all. So being written on keyboard or through MIDI program, like I told the guitar module what to play because I dragged a note around, and then I put information about that note. Hit it this hard. Hit that note with this tone. Do that. So I had to do that, but it doesn't necessarily translate to that instrument. Where a guitarist is going to go, what are you doing? I need fingers like this long. Like, oh well.
Well, we learned last week on the episode from Bumblefoot, like how the smallest change in a finger position or the way they hold the pick, like every single little aspect of that changes the note and the sound.
For me, it doesn't matter whether the note is sometimes an A or a C. It just doesn't matter to me, especially with voice or vocals. It's like, sing the note that's comfortable for your mechanical things, your voice, your throat. It's like look at when you're coming up with stuff and the basic structure of the song, the key signature, the basic melody is in place. Changes to that might be seen as, oh, I changed the song. It's like, no. The song is, you can sing this note or that note. I don't even care, or play this note or that note. Whatever. It's whatever feels. It's like the beat. It's like someone saying to me that okay, Mike, here's the drum machine. Learn it. And I'm like, okay, 1, 2, I got it. Okay. So I might have to learn the do because it goes with the music, but I'm kind of going to translate and change that to. And then morph back and forth, but I'm not changing the song.
Right. But you're changing the vibe and the feel of it, though, and you can hear it.
that's my job, being hired.
Right.
That is my job. I'm supposed to do this. I hire people. You're supposed to like morph and change and do things. Yes, absolutely. So that's the kind of thing. And so you find people that get it. You find people that get it, and they go, yeah. Just send it. Can I try this? Like, yeah. Let me do this. It's a little more. It's better for my instrument, and plus, you hit an O minus, and that's not in the key signature. I'm going to change it to an M flat. I'm like, okay, play the M flat.
So talk to me about the players that you reached out to work on this music with you.
Yeah, Tony Dickinson has been the bassist for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra East, and Tony got the demos and sent back the most immaculate instrument tracks ever, clean, recorded perfectly, played perfectly. We went back and forth on some questions he had and some ideas, and he just like did it, organized it, and sent it. Like the folders were organized, the file names were organized. Like, oh, this is good.
You were like, you speak my love language.
Yeah. So that was his thing. He's a bassist, so I was able to talk to him about bassist thing. With Ivan Keller, I was able to communicate to him, well, here it is, just like go and play. And then those tracks come to me, and it's like, okay, yes. Oh, wait a minute, what about this? No. Same thing with Gus. Again, because I'm going to put them together because it's the guitar. I don't play that instrument. And it's like, Gus, it's like, oh, I'm going to play, because I wrote the solos initially for all of the songs, like the actual solo that would take place, and played the drums to it. But then Gus came back and said, well, this one and this one, I got to play those. They're just so, like, it's like lunatic stuff. Like, what is this? I got to play it. It's just crazy. So he was a virtuoso. He picked that up, played those. And other solos, he said, can I do my own thing? I'm like, yes, yeah, go ahead. And then I played to him. But there's one of them on the song called So Alive. So Alive is about doing things with the talent that you're given. Like, don't bury them, grow them, do something. And it's supposed to be inspirational for kids. Let's say, for example, the NFL has a kids program to try to, pro golf does this. I think every sport basically does it. But with that said, there are camps and there are things to help kids along. This is just a song that talks about something to be inspirational to anybody that wants to do something, especially a young person. It's like, yeah, I got to do something. I love this. I want to do this thing here. But okay, we'll do something with it. But you need the right coaching and all that, which is not a lyric. So Alive, because it's about that, the solo is split. The first half I wrote, the second half Gus wrote. This is the first piece and then the second piece. The first piece is something that, Gus was like, can I remake that? And I thought, well, he's remade, half the record with this. I was like, not with this one, but add to it. And he did the same thing with Glamorous Shades. That's my solo written on keyboarded MIDI, MIDI programming. And then he matched it, but then the second half, he just went wild playing what he wanted. And I stayed out of his way. Like, I didn't match that one. Same thing with So Alive. I stayed out of his way. It's like just him. But with So Alive, what's interesting is that the solo that he played with me, it's just weird. It's supposed to be that way because it reflects what I'm trying to say with the song. It reflects struggle. And then Gus comes in and plays something that's totally supposed to be for guitar. It's the right thing, but it helps tell my story. I mean, I'm explaining this to you, which is really unique because I don't know who's going to know that unless they know it from me. But you get my point. It's like, So he didn't necessarily have to know why. I was like, I want to keep the first half because it certainly wasn't because of the solo itself. That's not what it was. It's like, it gave me a feeling of struggle and like oddness and like confusion. Then all of a sudden he kicks in and just like, it's like, you mentioned Steve and Tyler. So it's like, Remember the Run DMC video where he and Joe kicked the wall in and came in?
Yeah, it's iconic.
Oh, there you go. So it's like Gus just like kicked me out of the way and said, like, this is like the completion. But that's the completion thing. That's right. That's for guitar. That's what it's supposed to be. But the story of the song, the feeling of the song, that's what that was my decision-making process. And then when it comes to the vocals, then Jen Majura was on board because I had worked with her and I asked her to try the song, which was "Freak of Nature," and it was so different. I was like, "This is interesting, different." And she, of course, she can sing. The pitch is like bump, but then plus this goes back to my days in LA. I went to A&M Records and I played my first incarnation of this, which had a female on it and females, and I used females like 3 times. So it's like it came back to that anyway. Just so that's clear that it started with a female and it ended with one. But the whole thing is, I remember the record executive telling me that all he kept saying was, you got to do something with this because it's different to me. It's different. Like maybe that's an industry thing, that they want the next new thing or something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess spinning back, just to go a little further with Jen and her contribution, it's like, okay, these notes fit. It's like sing what's comfortable for you in your range, and then morph it to a thing, blah, blah, blah. Yes, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Let's do it that way. All right, cool. And she also, but it was more than that because she clued me in on the way some words sound and translate with voice. And I had initially my source thing for my lyrics was the sound is more important because the do, the da. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's not going to induce critical thought other than, oh, I wonder what that means. Let me go look, does it reference something? Is it like, what does it mean? It's like, it's to do, just say it. Just put it on in your car and drive,
Yeah. Roll the windows down and crank up Panama.
Yeah. But within the scope of what she was more specific with, okay, this particular word starting a chorus doesn't have the impact of what I want to feel by a word. So I'll go, okay, I will go and write and find a new word, and then I will present that to you, right? Because I just wanted to keep like the writing thing as a solo record out of just the purity of the solo record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And of course, the final result morphs to everybody on it. I mean, it did.
So this project has been in the works for so long, and now you're nearing the finish line. So what's the timeline for the release of the record? Like, when are we going to get this thing?
The release of the record is going to be the day after my masterclass at Drum Center Portsmouth, which will be November 11th. The final ads are being formulated still, but that's where it's going to be. It's going to be a fun time. I hope Mistress Carrie is there. Just like, to have some friends there and people will come, and all those details will be released soon. But that's gonna be it. It's gonna be put out, and then I'm going to have time afterwards to kind of nurture everything that goes along with it, from the supplemental little clips that I put out there just on YouTube and all through my posts, and the drum playthroughs that, like I said, will probably be in the Vimeo realm. There's some decisions I have to make because I still have a little bit of time,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be right away either. Just have to say that I'm going to do this. Well, I've done it, but I need to formulate exactly how it's going to be available to everybody. So
what are we calling the album?
Invisible Signs is the name of the album. And there are all kinds of little Easter eggs in the drum part, plenty of those that maybe aren't what are thought of on first listen. The lyrics, seem straight up or about one thing, but they might be about a few things that might not be what they sound like, and they also can be about what people interpret them to be. And basically, the content is there are invisible signs with truth finding, and about the environment we live in, like how does it work? Because like in physics, it's like okay, and it keeps happening. It's like okay, we have discovered that blah 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 is called electricity. It is made of electricity, and then like years later, it's like well, not quite. With that data, yeah, it looks like that. But now we've got some new data that's good. We're going to call it something called electromagnetism. And then someone down the line goes, well, there are these things called quarks in quantum physics, and you might want to look at this. And these other forces, and it's like, oh, oops. It's not that this solution, albeit that it's not correct, but at the time, it seems correct. Okay, at the time, it seems correct. And we go through finding things that are slightly more correct about things. There's signs. There's all kinds of signs of these things that were always there. We don't always see them. But they're there. And, the Fibonacci sequence, the snail, it's in every single skeleton, I believe, the same mathematical proportions. Hello? The galaxies are the same shape as hurricanes. Excuse me? No, you look at that and go, okay, something's up here. And so that it opens your mind, and you go and you don't view it because someone else had an opinion or told you something. What you do is you gather those and you go and research it. You go dig in, because once you dig in, your mind opens up and you think differently. One thing I'd like to share about the inspiration for the music is it happened when I was at a Guns N' Roses concert at Gillette Stadium. And, I was there with a Vader drumstick guy as a guest of Frank, the drummer. And we had some downtime, and there was music playing before any band even played. And I was looking around, and people were just doing their thing. But a Rage Against the Machine song came on, and the place moved like there was a wave pushing them. I was like, whoa, wow. I had written a bunch of, not copycat or similar, because my stuff doesn't sound like that, but similar feeling. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to stick to it because this is a cool feeling. And that permeates the album, is that experience right there.
Rage Against the Machine's getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a reason.
Well, there you go. It moved people. And I was like, I might be onto something, So,
were you at Guns N' Roses with Chad Brandolini?
Yeah.
He came on the show and talked to us about building drumsticks and picking wood and catering drumsticks to specific drummers based on how they play. Super interesting stuff.
Yeah, they're wonderful. And mine is the only one made backwards, meaning us drummers can tend to flip the drumstick around for getting more impact on while recording or whatever it is. And so I said, why don't we just build it backwards so that the butt end of the stick doesn't ruin these drum heads, especially because there are people, that it's like you got to save your money to go buy a drum head. You don't want to ruin it in 5 seconds because you're cranking out this tune and you've just ruined your $45 drum head, and you've got 5 of them. So let's flip the stick around so that the tip that we choose doesn't hurt the drum head, but it's got the weight. And that's my Wicked Piston, which was named by good old McGee.
Who also came on the show and talked about what it's like to be the guy behind drum sets like yours.
Interesting stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Awesome stuff.
All right. Can you take these songs on the road? Are you going to be able to tour with these songs in this record?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'm just sitting back. I'm sitting back. I'm not, again, my 3-second thing, I'm not making any decisions on things I don't know about. In other words, does anyone even like it? Will it be out? Will it permeate the airwaves so that people even know what it is? Will a situation come up that allows for me to do this? You got to pay people. You got to pay people for their work. And, you can't be asking for favors with certain things. Road life is really difficult. So who knows what wonderful things could come about? The answer to your question is it's able to. Yes. So will it? I don't know. How will it happen? I've worked on some components of that. Who will it be? It's one step at a time. I hope everyone's available.
Are you more excited or nervous about releasing this album? Because for you, a solo album has been a concept that's been around for a while. So are you more nervous or more excited, or both?
Oh, I'm more excited. The only thing that I'm nervous about is our expectations. Expectations are dangerous. They're dangerous in relationships. When you expect something from someone, it's like, no, just look in the mirror and do what you're supposed to do. Your expectations are not so good. Dreams are good. Hopes are good. All those things are, but we can't survive without them. Imagination is good. But when you put expectations on things, it gets a little funky. So the only expectation what I don't have is an expectation that I'll be understood. That's why I'm doing these interviews, because it's like, wow, I'm not trying to do the Mike Mangini drummer guy thing that everyone's expecting. The complex, the time changes that go in between the beats that is, quote, expected of me. No, please, I get it. I didn't fall off an onion truck, all right? I didn't fall off an onion truck. I know if my name is mentioned, I know what's expected. Yay. But
it's a new part of you. You're exploring a new part of your musical ability.
It is exactly right. It is just a piece of the puzzle, but it's the piece that's like with the grooves and the space in the grooves, and then the use of the drums, in what hopefully is seen as a cool way, or maybe even a clever way to do it, or something, or just creative, or different. It's like not the same as what anyone else has done or is doing in the same way that I'm doing it. So that's it. I just want to get that message out. And on purpose, the grooves have air. On purpose, I saved the crazy drumming for between maybe 7 and 14 second piece of the song, so it doesn't freak people out, but it's there and it's interesting. Lyrically, it's like freak of nature. Yeah, I remember that. I was like, good. Now, if you would like to look into it, because you might be like I was with albums, and I would read the lyrics and think of things. I go, oh, this is interesting. Then go for it. But please, just enjoy it. That's it.
It sounds like 2024 is going to be a very exciting year for you.
I'm hoping so. I'm not living in it, but I'm hoping so. And I have my dreams for it. I have my hopes for it. But I'm in a moment now. And that's the moment that I'm in. And I'm doing everything I can, of course, being aware of where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, there's a list on the corkboard for 2024 for you, for sure.
Yeah, and it's still 2023, and things are being like, I love to put a Sharpie, a line through something. I like to go goodbye,
done.
Like that's done. That's
done.
I love to do that. So yeah.
Well, we'll put links for everything you talked about: the books, the Vimeo stuff, the link to the album, your new website. All of that will be in the show notes to make it easy for people to find everything that you were talking about.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I feel like cool, because like my kids often tell me things and I'm like not hip. I don't know what's hip. I didn't like TikTok. What? What? What's a TikTok? Is that an o'clock? I don't know. Though you should have one.
You should have one.
It's like I should. What do you mean should? What is a why? Anyway, so so I have a link tree. Yes, I have a link tree, and my whole world is in that link tree, and I feel so current.
Well, we will link the link tree and the links to this episode.
Okay, excellent.
Well, it's been since episode 35, the first time you were on, which came out on February 3rd of 2021. So it was nice to get you back on the show now with everything that you got going on. So I'm glad you're feeling the love from all of your fans and people that love you. And we're super excited about everything that you're working on.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I posted, you are the nicest people. You are the nicest people. It's all I said in there. And not everything, but, yeah, I'm just everybody be happy here. Just everybody be happy. It was many people as possible anyway. Just be happy. But what was shown to me, it's the kindness that was amazing. I'm still like, oh my gosh, that actually happened. I don't know how it's going to go because I'm not living in the future too much.
Yeah.
It's scary. You start to worry about things you don't have to worry about. You start to project things out of what? I don't know. I mean, imagination is good, but it's got to be it's got to be put in check.
You can get paralysis by analysis pretty quickly.
Yeah, there you go. Has anyone ever made a lyric out of that?
I don't know, but it's not my quote, so you can have it if you want it.
Yeah, I know. We'll all get in trouble. All right, so
it was good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. Good luck with the record, and there's more coming from Mike Mangini very soon.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed Rolling the Window Down, and maybe if you like one of my songs that you can play after a song you like Panama, maybe one of them will be good with the windows down. That's all I'm asking. Just one tune. That's it.
There he is, the one and only Mike Mangini. His new solo project, Mangini, getting ready to release their debut album, Invisible Signs, coming up on November 11th. And if you want to go to the album release party, you can go to Drum Center of Portsmouth, New Hampshire on November 11th, starting at 5. There's a link to get tickets in the show notes of this episode. You'll also find the link to Mike's first appearance on the podcast, episode 35, all of Mike's links to find him online, and all the Mistress Carrie links, and you'll find the link to this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the podcast that features all of my guest music and the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. If you like what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, you can find me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my video show, Cocktails in the War Room, on my official Facebook page. And of course, you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all that and more at mistresscarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
The United States Border Patrol has exciting and rewarding career opportunities with the nation's largest law enforcement organization.
Border Patrol agents enjoy great pay, outstanding federal benefits, and up to $20,000 in recruitment incentives.
If you are looking for a way to serve something greater than yourself, consider the United States Border Patrol. Learn more online at cbp.gov/careers/USBP.
That's cbp.gov/careers/USBP.
What does the word mixtape mean to you?
It was an art form, trying to woo them with my fantastic and eclectic taste in music.
If somebody gave you a mixtape, you felt like you really meant something to that person.
Mixtape to me is love.
My Weekly Mixtape is a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Tune in to hear themed playlist curations.
No one in the history of anyone should ever put Pantera after Derek and the Dominoes, but here we are.
This is going to be the weirdest playlist ever created, and I love it.
One-on-one sit-downs with the artists that made our mixtape special in the first place.
It's Bill Gibson with Huey Lewis in the News.
I'm Art from the band Everclear.
This is Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
This is Frank Turner, and good Lord, you've made the right choice today.
And so much more. My Weekly Mixtape is a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Listen now at myweeklymixtape.com or by searching My Weekly Mixtape wherever you listen to podcasts.